What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From the Bench. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and today is our Tuesday edition of the show where we have a lot to talk about. The basketball team's on fire. The football team has caught a lot of breaks. Have a lot to talk about in the football world regarding the playoffs and what's to come for the rest of the season for the Vols. And like I said, the basketball team's on fire as well. So there's a lot to talk about today. It's going to be an eventful Tuesday episode. So thank you guys for watching. And before I get into anything, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment about I want you guys to comment your playoff predictions because I'm about to give mine after we talk about Tennessee's past game. And then I also want you guys to comment how you feel about the basketball team so far as they're undefeated. So we'll start with football, obviously. The Vols killed UTEP 56-0 on senior night on Saturday, and got to acknowledge all the seniors and all those festivities, and it was a great day. 1 o'clock kickoff, kind of chilly, but the Vols got the win, which is what they needed to do. And like I said, it's take care of business, and they've got to do it again this week against Vanderbilt. But Nico Iamaleava, finished the game 17-23 for 209 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dylan Sampson had 11 rushes for 77 yards and a touchdown, and that touchdown sealed the deal, and he broke the single-season touchdown record for the Vols. Just in awe by how Dylan Sampson has played this year. He just keeps going, and we still got the postseason, and we have one more regular season game. So credit to D-Samp. Peyton Lewis had 7 rushes for 46 yards and 2 scores. He's got in the end zone twice on senior day as a freshman. And Brew McCoy finished the game with 4 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns on his senior night. So Brew is what he embodies what it means to be a Vol, and good to see him get in the end zone and free cookies for everybody because of those 2 touchdowns. But it was a big Saturday. The Vols really could be the biggest winner from this Saturday, and it was dang near a bye week for them as they played UTEP, because of what went on around the SEC and what went on around the rest of the college football playoff landscape. As we all know, Alabama lost to Oklahoma in primetime in Norman, and that was just, They fall to 3 losses on the season, and how do you only score 3 points in a college football game? Jalen Milroe's inconsistencies continues to be a problem. 2 weeks ago, he looked like Michael Vick against LSU. Killed him. And then he goes and plays Oklahoma, and credit to Oklahoma, good atmosphere, primetime game, night game, and they've got a good defense over there in Norman, but Three turnovers and 0 touchdowns and under 200 yards passing. And the majority of your passing came at the end of the game in garbage time. There's a stat they showed in the fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter, and he had 86 passing yards, 7 rushing yards, and 0 touchdowns and 3 turnovers. So, and just ridiculous by Jalen Milroe, and they're out of the playoff picture. You'd think so, and again, I don't have them in mind. I don't think there's any way they get in. And another team in the SEC that fell to 3 losses was Ole Miss. I don't know if you guys watched that, but the Gators, the Gator Chomps, broke out in Neyland Stadium, and that is probably the first and the last time that'll ever happen. Florida came through when we needed it most, and they beat Ole Miss. I don't know if you guys watched that game. I just got done, so I didn't get to go to the game this past weekend because we played at 1, and I had a basketball game at 1:30. So I got home and turned on the Ole Miss, or I got to my buddy's house and turned on the Ole Miss Florida game, and good Lord, Jackson Dart. I almost feel for him because I know how good of a player he is, and he's one of the. I don't know if he's a legend, but he's one of the better quarterbacks of all time in Ole Miss history. And for him to go out like that is not pretty. He threw 3, what you thought 3 were game-losing interceptions. The first one he threw, and they somehow got the ball back. He threw one, it got called back, and then he threw another the next play. You can't make it up for the kid. Ole Miss is out of the playoff picture now. They fall to 3 losses, 8-3 on the year, and they've got Mississippi State, I think, this Friday in the Egg Bowl. Just not what you want to see as an Ole Miss fan, and such a talented roster for Ole Miss, and they'll play in the Cheez-It Bowl. I saw a bunch of posts saying Lane Kiffin, Orlando sounds really nice right about now in this cold weather, but they fall out of the playoff. And a team that, if all went according to plan with Alabama, they might have found themselves out of the playoffs, but Indiana, they're going to get in, don't get me wrong, but a big L to Ohio State, which was the only good team they had on their schedule this year. They're probably going to finish 11-1 because they have Purdue, who is 1-10 right now. This coming weekend or weekday, I don't know. There's some games on Thursdays and Fridays this week, but the one game that they have that's a test, they got nailed. The score is 38-15, and they scored a touchdown and went for 2 late in the game. So it was 38-7 majority of the game, and it wasn't ever close. If you watch that game, it was pure domination by the Buckeyes, and they're getting hot at the right time. Which is why, sneak peek, I have them number 1 in my college football rankings. But actually, we're just going to jump into that right now. So, after this is my predictions, not for tonight, as the on Tuesday night the college football rankings come out, but this is my predictions for after the conference championships and things of that nature. So obviously the conference champions get the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 12 bids, and everyone's thought that the Big 12 would get the 4, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I have Boise State having it right now, and Arizona State winning the Big 12 at 12 for the 12 seed. But here's what I have right here. Got it written down. Number 1, I have Ohio State. I think they're going to get to the Big Ten championship, and I think it's going to be hard for Oregon to beat them twice. More Ohio State fans will be there than Oregon fans do, a lot more. And, we live in a world right now where with the playoffs, like, you'd almost rather be the 5 seed. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like the 1 seed's going to have to play the winner of the 8 and 9, which kind of sneak peek. I think that's either going to be us, Georgia, or Texas. But if you lose and you're the 5 seed, because the loser of the Big Ten championship is going to be the 5 seed, like there's no doubt about it, unless Ohio State just gets ran, which I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're the 5 seed, you'll play the 12 seed, who is likely Arizona State, and then you'll play the 4 seed, who's Boise State, which Oregon should handle both of them. So, I don't know. Obviously, neither one of those teams is going to lose the game on purpose, but got to kind of question the format of the playoffs. I think that it shouldn't be auto bids like 1, 2, 3, 4 as a conference champion. I think if you win your conference, you should automatically be a top 8 seed where you at least host. But, I don't know. Oregon and Notre Dame and Texas and Georgia and us, I think, are better than SMU and Boise State. So a little bit of a ramble there, my bad, but that's what I think. 1, Ohio State. 2, Georgia. I think Georgia's going to beat Texas in the SEC championship. 3, SMU. I think they're going to win the ACC. I think they're a lot better team than Miami. 4, Boise State, which everybody just thinks Boise State is the auto bid there. Do not be surprised. I have them in there because everybody does, and I think they have the best player in the country. UNLV could beat that team in the Mountain West Championship. UNLV played the best defense on Ashton-Jeanty all year. UNLV is going to be like the 15th ranked team in the country when they play. UNLV is a good football team. Their only loss is Boise State right now, and it was a 1-possession game on Halloween night, I'm pretty sure. But so 4, I have Boise State. 5, Oregon. 6, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a sneaky good football team that everybody wants to say, oh, they don't play anybody, they need to be in a conference. Yes, they do need to be in a conference, but every game they've played a test, they've won. They beat A&M first game of the year too, and they're getting better and better each week. 7, Penn State. Penn State's no good. 8, I have Tennessee. So I do think the Vols no doubt will be 8 or 9. I don't really see anywhere else that they could be. I think if Texas were to win the SEC championship, I think we'd be 9, and we'd have to go to Georgia to play again. I just don't see them dropping Georgia behind us, as we already lost to Georgia, just because Georgia lost in the SEC championship. But I think Texas is going to lose in the SEC championship. It's going to make us both a 2-loss team, and we have a lot better wins than Texas does. Their only good win is going to be if they handle business this weekend against Texas A&M. So 8 Tennessee, 9 Texas, 10 Indiana, 11 Miami, which with how bad the ACC's been, they're somehow going to sneak 2 teams in there just because half the SEC pissed down their leg. And 12, I have Arizona State. So that would mean Arizona State would go to Oregon. Miami would go to Notre Dame, that's a rivalry game right there. That'll be awesome. Miami going to Notre Dame will be awesome. 10, Indiana going to Penn State, so a Big Ten. And Texas traveling to Neyland Stadium, which would put Knoxville on fire. I mean, that game would be unreal, a playoff game in Neyland Stadium, and I will be there for sure. Me and Bryce Howard will be there. Bryce Howard, if you're watching, and Grandma Sue, if you're watching, I'll be there with you. And I'm excited about that. And that's if we beat Vanderbilt this weekend. So, a lot on the line. In my opinion, no, never mind. I think they'd put a 10-2 Texas. I was thinking if Texas lost to A&M this weekend, but I think they'd put Texas in over Miami. But we're not going to get into all those hypotheticals. Let me run through that again without commenting on the teams. I have 1 Ohio State, 2 Georgia, 3 SMU, 4 Boise State, 5 Oregon, 6 Notre Dame, 7 Penn State, 8 Tennessee, 9 Texas, 10 Indiana, 11 the U of Miami, and 12 Arizona State. That's my prediction. I really am very confident in that, actually. But I hope it's right. I would love to see Tennessee host a playoff game inside of Neyland Stadium. I think that'd be electric. But football, it's crazy right now. The college football landscape is unreal right now. It'll be interesting to see what the committee thinks with their rankings. If Indiana drops as far in the college football rankings as they did in the AP poll, and a lot of other teams see where they put Tennessee after their big win against UTEP. But we'll see. We'll comment on Friday as well. But college football is unreal right now. On the college basketball, the balls are hot, baby. Tennessee just beat Virginia and Baylor like a drum to win the whatever you call the Bahama Mama Banana Championship, the Continental Championship, or whatever the heck they call it over there in the Bahamas. They won back-to-back nights against Virginia and Baylor. Baylor was coming in as a top 5 offense in the country, 13th ranked team in the country, and definitely the biggest test we're going to see up to this point. And, I'm not going to sit here and read the stats like I do for Tennessee because I'm not going to read stats to 2 basketball games. But they beat them both down. The first half of the Virginia game was ugly. I know we talked about that earlier on the last episode. But the Baylor win was big. We were up like 30 in the first half at one point, or somewhere around there. It was not close. I think we ended up only winning by like 17. But, I mean, a great win by the Vols. And some bullet points. As I said, I'm not going to read off the stats. Chaz Lanier, you're nice. You're nice, Chaz Lanier. He took over in the second half against Virginia and then scored 15 of our first 18 points against Baylor, all those being 5 threes. I mean, that man was unconscious against Baylor. He didn't do much in the second half because they were guarding him like Steph freaking Curry. But I know he finished the game with 25 points. I mean, Chaz Lanier, you're him. He is great. And another great pickup for the Vols in the portal was Igor Milicic. I mean, he's been great. He was great against Baylor. I think he finished with like 12 points. We have lacked a scoring big for a while. I mean, Folke had his games here and there. Obviously, Grant kind of played the 4, a weird 4, as he's kind of a guard in the NBA now. But Kennedy Chandler's team didn't have a scoring big. Trying to think last year. We didn't have a scoring big. I don't even need to think about it. I mean, Kamwa had flashes a couple years ago of being a great scorer, but never really, not the consistency that I think Igor's had and is about to have for the rest of the year. and he's inside and out. And I can tell you for sure we haven't had a consistent in and out big threat like we do right now. And his offensive ability really kind of weighs out Felix Akapara is no offensive threat unless it's a alley-oop or a putback dunk. He's not going to score. Now he's a great defender. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. He's pretty good, especially on the defensive end. You don't have to score to affect the game of basketball. But he doesn't have any touch, and I think he's pretty clumsy. Not Igor. Felix, if you're watching this, I love you. I know you're not watching this, but just kind of clumsy. No touch really around the basket. So Igor has been great for us. Another transfer that made his Tennessee debut against Virginia and then played some solid minutes against Baylor was Darlington Dubar. D-Stone is what he goes by, and he missed the first part of the year with some personal reasons, so I don't know what those are, and it's not any of our business, but I'm glad he's back and is able to play basketball, and he's going to be good for us. His shot's looking better than it did at Hofstra, which he could still shoot it at Hofstra, but it looks cleaner. He was shooting it kind of from down here against Hofstra, or not against Hofstra, when he played at Hofstra in the previous years, but he's going to be big for us, especially off the bench. Mayshak, has improved tremendously on the offensive end. We know what he is defensively. He might be the best defender in college basketball, and he's not a liability on offense like he has been in previous years. Not a liability, but not really a threat. And he's a threat to score now from outside, and his jab and pump fake and getting to the rim is better. Cade Phillips, love Cade Phillips. I don't know about you, but I'm a big Cade Phillips fan. The 6'9" forward center from Jacksonville, Alabama, has been big. He's a sophomore, has made a great and humongous stride from what he was last year. He was injured last year, but Rick Barnes and the coaching staff said that he'd be big this year, and he is, indeed. With the news that came out yesterday, J.P. Estrella is out for the rest of the year as he's getting foot surgery, so prayers up to him, and hopefully he recovers quickly, but Cade Phillips is going to have to be big, and he's been big. A great defender. He's 6'9", but he has a 7'2" wingspan. Around the rim, he missed a dunk against Virginia, and a wide-open alley-oop, but he's been a great alley-oop threat. He's been great in the pick and roll, and he's been good for us all year. I love Cade Phillips. I love watching Cade Phillips bring that energy and play for the Volunteers. And the Vols, after a big 2 weeks, jumped to 7 in the AP poll. And UConn lost last night, so they may jump even higher after this week if they handle business. I know we got UT Martin on Wednesday, and I don't know who we have after that on the weekend. I'm not for sure if we play or not. But all eyes this weekend are going to be in Nashville as the Vols take on Vandy for college football. We'll talk all about that on Friday. It's a must-win. The playoff starts now. If you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out. So a lot at stake for the Vols, and it should be an exciting weekend. And, last week we were having a conversation about how we needed this, and this to happen, and just to give us a chance, and a lot of things went our way this weekend. So can only be thankful for that. Speaking of thankful, happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody, if you're traveling, safe travels there and back home. I know I'm going to Virginia. I leave tonight. Tell the ones you love you're thankful for them, and I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you guys. I started this show, 7-8 weeks ago? I think so. It's been like 2 months, I think, now, and it's been great. I can't be more thankful for you guys that listen every day. It really means a lot, just knowing that whether it's 100 people or it's 30 people, I'm really appreciative for all the people that are listening to the show. And thank you guys for watching, and go Vols.